How's it going, Laser Freaks? Today I'm going to go over episodes 3 and 4 of Loki. I'm going to do basically what I did with the previous episode of going over episodes 1 and 2, but I'm briefly going over episode 3 because I don't think it's that important to the whole story overall, but one tiny snippet. So let's get right into it. Episode 3 basically picks off right where episode 2 left off, where our Lokis have gone to a different place. They actually go right back to the TVA, and then once they go back to the TVA, they start fighting, and then they're on the brink of getting arrested, and then they take one of those time charge things they have and go to a different planet. The different planet is one that's dying that we figure out soon, but it's not anything I'm going to mention like in depth. Because they're on this planet, they try to get away, and they don't have enough power charge in the like the time door thing that they use. So they need to get a power source that has enough charge that will power it, so they could leave this dying planet before they die. And they see that the planet is evacuating, and they get on this train, blah 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 blah, do all this dumb stuff, and then it gets to the point where we kind of see the Loki's bond a little bit, and this is where you find out where Loki's actually bisexual, which, I mean, it's kind of, I think it's always been in the air that he's been bisexual. I could have swore a long time ago that he was supposed to be bisexual, but I mean, they brought it up, so here it is. So, all right, let's talk about episode 4. So at the end of episode 3, they get all the way to that ship to power the time thing, and it blows up because a giant rock hits it, and then the other planet on top of the planet they're on is starting to get destroyed. So we see a really cool scene where Loki and Sylvie are together, and you can kind of tell they've caught feelings for each other, which is, we'll get into it a little bit more later, but they're just waiting to die, and Loki makes a really good point, is you can never kill Loki, and it makes sense with all the timelines because you really can't kill Loki. And we've watched Loki almost been killed several times in the MCU already, and it happens in this episode. They actually catch feelings so much that it starts to create a Nexus event. I don't know if it was just them holding hands, or there's the fact that we could tell they were falling in love, but it actually created a spike in the timeline so much that it could have caused the end of of existence in the universe, supposedly. Another part about episode 4 is we find out that the TVA agent that Sylvie had mind controlled, the one earlier, like back at the Renaissance Fair, has died for some reason, and the reason we get is because she was so far gone, she had no memory, that she couldn't even talk. And eventually we find out that's not the case, and it really happens when Loki tells Mobius, after Mobius is pissed because he feels like he's been betrayed by Loki. And it gets to the point in the interrogation where he tells Mobius that everyone there is a variant. The TVA has been lying to him for years and erasing their memories and just taking them out of the timeline like they did Sylvie. And that part, it's weird because no one wants to believe it. But I want to go to my next point. Let's actually go right to my next point. Go back to myself right now. So we see that he's in love with his other self, which is Sylvie, and Mobius, Owen Wilson's character, basically tells him that he's sick. It's because he's narcissistic. Only he could fall in love with himself. And yeah, that's completely true because Loki's always been the most narcissistic character in the MCU. And well, I mean, Tony Stark's pretty narcissistic, but yeah, Loki's like the only true form of love that he could gain would be loving himself, and I thought that was really cool to bring into it because we've known he's been this way for the whole entire MCU, and it gets to the point where he gets thrown in this time loop before he does interrogating even anymore, and he actually tells himself it's a character from his past. I'm assuming a girlfriend. I can't remember if the character was in the MCU or not, so forgive me for that. But he comes to terms with he did it for attention because he thought it was funny because he needs attention in life to feel satisfaction, and I thought that was cool. And it makes sense for his character because he's always been under Thor. His dad's always looked at Thor way more, and that's why his mom was more of a supportive role in his life. So that was cool to see. Mobius actually starts to suspect that something's wrong, especially when the one agent that hated Loki, that wanted him dead in the other episodes, I can't remember the number. I think she's like 45 or something, or maybe it's 8. Maybe I'm dumb, but she asked Mobius if what Loki told him, and he goes, "Oh, he thinks that everything here is fake," and she goes, "Oh, okay," and she just kind of like shrugs it off, but really she knows that she's a variant also and wants to know more information. But Mobius suspects it so much that he actually steals the person that's in charge of him time thing. It looks like a fucking little booklet, and figures out that the agent that is deceased because of the mind control told everyone on camera that she was a variant and remembered all of her memories. And Mobius now knows that he's a variant. And he goes and frees Loki immediately. And as soon as he frees Loki, and they actually have such a fucking good bond here, he's like, "Trust me as a friend." And like, this is the first friend that Loki's had in a long time. Because this isn't the Loki we had at the end of Ragnarok or Endgame. This is the Loki from 2012's Avengers. And he has had no friends in a long time. So Mobius is his first friend. And sadly, and I hate to see it, I really did hate to see it, is Mobius is pruned by his like officer in charge, or whatever you want to call her. And Loki, you can tell there's such an emotional impact on Loki that he cries, but that scene was so damn believable that they were friends and that he was really hurting. That was my favorite scene in the whole episode. Because one, I like great character motivation, and that was a good way to motivate Loki's character to be a better person and to really take out the TVA. Because now we're basically finding out the TVA is a bunch of assholes and like just terrible. Because they're doing things, there's not like a sacred timeline. They're wanting to do things the way they see should be. It's not the way it should be. It's just how they want it. And then it gets to the point where they're both getting brought up to the timekeepers and they're fighting. And we find out the timekeepers are androids. Now, they're not really androids. It's just a front. Hopefully, I mean, they've done everything pretty good comic accurate recently with the MCU shows on Disney Plus, but Sylvie cuts the one head off of the timekeeper and he turns out to be an android. And then it happens. Loki himself gets pruned and disappears, and I think that's really great character motivation for Sylvie's character. But in the midst of it all, thank God we got a mid-credits scene where Loki wakes up. I don't know if it's limbo. I don't know where the hell he's at. He goes, "Am I in hell?" And then we hear a voice that says, he asks if he's dead, and you hear a voice say, "No, not yet, but follow us." And it turns out to be all 3 other variants of Loki, and one has the OG costume on, which is awesome. I know another one has almost a newer Loki costume on, and then the kid that plays him, I'm not really sure what that costume is or what like the pet like lizard or whatever it was has to do with anything. But I thought that was really awesome because I really did not want this Loki to die. So now, do we get a giant war in the next episode with a bunch of Lokis variants? Because I would like to see that giant Hulk Loki that we saw in episode 1 as a variant. But yeah, I don't know where the hell we go from here. Things have hit the fan so hard that it blows my mind what else could happen. Because one, we already know that the timeline is all messed up. And now they didn't even explain it in this episode. I'm assuming it's still messed up for the future movies of the MCU. But if they just went back and reset all those timelines, like all those strains that broke off after episode 2, fuck, they are good. But they didn't even mention it. I'm assuming it's still like that. And then with the big Nexus event, I think another Nexus event's going to happen between Sylvie and the actual Loki. but I have a feeling that one of them is going to stay dead after the series because Tom Hiddleston has been playing the role 2011, I believe. Yeah, I think it's 2011, 2010. And we have, I can't remember the actress's name off the top of my head right now, but the one that plays Sylvie, Lady Loki, I think she's probably going to end up staying. Or she could die and create more character motivation for Loki. And it kind of keeps him in this weird, I'm a villain, I do whatever I think is right, or whatever I need to stay alive kind of feel. So I'm really excited to see next episode. That was the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Please tell me your thoughts about this. I have none of my friends are watching the show at all for whatever reason. I'm trying to make them, but they're not. So let's talk about the show in the comments. Let me know what you think, and then I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you, guys.